Well, welcome to the Ark, everyone. Thank you for joining me here in the Ark, where we help God's people get aligned, renewed, and centered in God's truth so they can stay on God's path toward God's purpose, because there's a whole lot of voices out there. And we want to help people stay on the path towards God's purpose. So today I want to talk a little bit about something I call the laws of transformation. It's something that lessons and experiences that I've learned in my walk and through my life, that's the basis for a lot of these things that I'll be sharing with you here in the Ark. So today I want to talk about something I call the laws of transformation. And you'll hear me talk about something in the Ark called the core five. Now, the core five is our mindset, relationships, our finances, our health, and our vocation. Those, I believe, are the main things that we need to get in order, or that can cause us some issues in life. We stress mainly about one of those five things. And it all starts with your mindset. And that's why I'm really huge on the mindset and transformation of the mind, because it all stems from mindset. And if we want to transform our relationships, we want to transform our finances, our health, or our vocation, we need to understand a mindset shift that needs to take place relative to what I call the laws of transformation. Now, what are the laws of transformation? Over my experience, I learned, I've found out the laws of transformation are basically three things that you have to accept, that you have to understand, that you have to know if you're going to change any of those five areas of your life. One, you have to understand that your life is where it is due to the choices you have made. When I learned this, it was a game changer for me. I stopped pointing fingers. I stopped blaming outside circumstances or outside people. My life was where it was because of choices I made, and I had to accept that because of my choices. I sat in a conference and heard this man say to me, as if he was speaking to no one but me. He said, the results you currently see in your life are due to the choices you've made up to this point. Boom. That's when I got it. We especially we as believers, Christians, we tend to, many times, if we're being honest, play the victim. Like, oh, I'm the victim of Satan's trickery, or I'm the victim of this one, I'm victim of that one. When in the reality is, a lot of the stuff we're dealing with now is simply because of bad decisions and bad choices we have made. I had to get that. That's law number one. You got to understand, your life is where it is. You're not going to change your life until you accept these three laws. One, your life is where it is due to your choices. Second thing, the second law is nothing in your life's going to change until you change. So none of the stuff around me that was that I didn't like or that I wanted to change because of my choices, right? I had to realize now none of that was going to just magically disappear. Kind of like every year, a lot of Christian brothers and sisters, we go to church, okay, in New Year's Eve, what they call watch night service. And a lot of us think that if we go to church, that when the clock strikes midnight, 12:01, that magically things in our life are going to change and we can just praise our way through it. And that we're going to wake up on January 1st, whatever year, and it's going to be different. And that is not true. None of that stuff, none of the things that we're dealing with or that we're going through in 2022, none of that stuff's going to change into 2023 unless we change, period. Y-O-U, I told you about the acrostic Y-O-U. Until you change, until you yield up that old understanding, yield old understandings, until you yield up the way that you think, the old ways of thinking that have gotten you to where you are now, stuck because of your choices, None of that stuff is going to change in 2023 unless you change. If your relationships are bad and you want to change them, you got to change. If your finances are bad and you want to change them, you have to change your relationship to money and your understanding about money. If your health is failing and you want to change your health, you have to change your relationship to food and dieting and exercise. If your vocation, if you're stuck in a vocation, a business or a career that you hate and you want to change it, it's not going to magically change. You have to do something to make a shift in your life. So nothing in your life is going to change until you change. That's law number 2. And finally, the third law is that whatever change you decide to make, change is going to take a risk. It's going to take a risk. Change is never easy. It's like going to the gym, right? You got to take a risk at some point and put more weight on that rack if you're going to increase muscle. That's the only way you're going to do it. The only way to increase muscle is you have to add more weight. You got to take a risk and add more weight, another 5 or 10 pounds that maybe you're scared of trying to lift that. But that's the only way you're going to get stronger. That's the only way you're going to increase muscle. Change is going to take a risk. It's like that caterpillar. When it's time for that caterpillar to make that transformation, what do? They go out on that limb. They don't know if a bird's going to see it and eat it, but there's something in them that it's time to change. It's time to transform. So they go out on that limb. They take a risk. They go out there. Those are the 3 laws, things that I've learned in my life. You know, I hope you find these helpful. 1, your life is where it is due to your choices. 2, nothing's going to change until you change. And 3, change is going to take a risk. You will not see change in your relationships, your finances, your health, your vocation, your mindset until you understand these 3 things. You have to walk through the door of discomfort. Change is uncomfortable. We don't like it. We like comfort. We like ease. Our brains are wired to protect us. That's how we are. Those of you that maybe have been thinking about, you're wondering about your life and where your life is and why it is where it is, and maybe you don't have a connection to God, or maybe your connection to God is not as tight as it could be. And maybe you've been thinking about stepping out there and trusting God like never before, like you never have before. Well, guess what? It's going to take a risk, because if you come to God, okay, you can come as you are, but you can't stay as you are. We can't stay as we are. He expects us to shift, and some things are going to take a risk. You're going to risk some relationships with some people. As soon as you say you're following God, you're following Christ, so here we go, another Bible thumper, right? But it's going to take a risk. You're going to have to walk through the door of discomfort. Jesus said in Mark 16:24, he said to his disciples, if anyone wishes to come to me, he must deny himself. That's part of the risk that you're going to have to take when you come into God. You have to deny yourself. What things are you going to have to deny yourself if you want to make progress and you want to move forward and you want to make improvements in your relationships? You want to improve your relationships. It starts with you. It starts with looking in the mirror. Don't start with pointing your finger at that person. It starts with looking in the mirror at where am I contributing to the breakdown in this relationship. Second, your finances. Some things we're going to have to deny ourselves. We're going to have to deny Amazon sometimes. Our health. You're going to have to start, drinking less, drinking more water, and drinking less beverages that have without sugar. I had to basically train myself to away from sweet tea. I love sweet tea, but it's not good for my health. So I tried to basically train myself to drink unsweetened tea. So now more than ever, I'm drinking unsweetened tea or water. So, and it takes you have to deny yourself some things. So change and progress requires denying ourselves. Following God And being a servant of God and a follower of Christ requires that we deny ourselves. God is not going to give you everything you want. He's not going to give us everything we want. He's not going to give us everything we pray for. Some of those things we're praying for, that we're saying the will of God is not for us. Some of these dreams that we say we want to, that we dream, we have these dreams and we say we want to do this and we say we want to do that. And have we run that stuff by God? Have we done that? Is it in God's will for us? And we don't want to talk about that because we think God is just supposed to just give us whatever we want. So these are just some of the things I wanted to share with you relative to the law of transformation. The laws of transformation, again, that's my phrase. That's not something that, you know, I got from the Bible or anything like that. That's my phrase, the laws of transformation. And those are the three things that I feel that you need to understand if you're going to make changes in your life. Your life is where it is due to your choices. Nothing's going to change until you change, and change is definitely going to take a risk. Please like it, this video, share it with someone else that you feel might benefit from it. And I'll see you next time inside the Ark. Peace and blessings.